Hello, welcome to this Crochet Granny Square for beginners. I'm doing this workshop to show you how to make a granny square. There's some examples here. So this workshop is to help out people that came to the adult learning workshop. But if you didn't come to the workshop, don't worry, this can be a standalone. This is based at beginners, but if you are a true beginner, it might be easy to see our beginners video, and we will link in the description below. We will also link to any of our other crochet videos in case you want to branch out a bit. The pattern will also be linked. And other than that, let's get started. So what you need is some yarn, obviously, otherwise you can't crochet, and a crochet hook. Now, I like to use cotton because that's just my preference, but use whatever yarn you have at home and the appropriate hook. Now, if you're a beginner, you probably don't know what the appropriate hook size would be. So if you look on the label of whatever yarn you have at home, it will give you a hook size suggestion. So if you have something that's sort of close to it, you can use that. If you are a very tight crocheter, you might want to use a bigger hook. If you are a loose crocheter, you might want to use a smaller hook. So just, especially for granny square, it doesn't really matter that much, but my preference is 8-ply cotton and a 4mm hook. I like the ones with a bit wider at the base, but these are fine, whatever you want to use. And I have 4 different colors. You can do as many colors as you like. What else do you need? You need scissors to cut the yarn, a wool needle, and I have some stitch markers because that's just easy to do. If you need to leave your work, you put it in the last loop and your crochet work will not unravel. Also, a little tip for beginners, use light colored yarn because then it's easier to see the stitches. If you're a true beginner, have a look at our beginner video. I'm just going to show you how I hold the yarn and the hook, but there's many different ways of holding your yarn, and all of them are correct if it works for you. I hold it like this. That's just how it works for me. Some people hold it like this. I've seen people holding it like hanging on for dear life. Fine, whatever is easy for you. Most patterns start with a slip knot. So I'll show you how I make mine, but use whatever method you want to make your slip knot. So I have the short end over my fingers, wrap the yarn around so you have that cross there, hold it, put my crochet hook under, grab the yarn and pull it through. And there's your slip knot. Now to start crocheting, you need to hold the yarn however you like. I hold my yarn like this. So I loop it over my pointer finger and my ring finger, even though I have my ring on my middle finger. And then you can have this tension and I hold my work with this. But to start with, it's a little bit hard to hold your work because there's not much to hold on. There's just this little loop. So there's a few things you need to learn to make a granny square. So one of the things is your slip knot, done. The other thing is the chain stitch. I'll show you how to do that. So you hold your hook and your yarn, then you yarn over. So basically you just slip your hook under the yarn. It's called a yarn over. And you glide that hook into your loop. That's one chain done. We want to do 4, so we'll do exactly the same again. So yarn over. I'd like to turn my hook so it's easier to pull it through that loop. And now you have 1, 2, 3 loops. We want 4. There you go. There's your chains made, 4 chains. Now we want to start with a little circle. So we're going to learn how to do a slip stitch. So your first chain, we're going to put our hook in. We're going to yarn over again, pull it through that chain and through the loop on your hook, and there's your little circle. Now, if you already know how to do a magic circle, you can start with the magic circle. But other than that, it's easier to just do 4 chains and make it into a circle. Now we're ready to do round 1. So we're using double crochets, and I'm using US terms just because that's how I learned it and I find that easier. If you're using UK terms, the US double crochet is actually called a treble crochet in UK terms. Don't ask me why. I'm Dutch, so I have no idea why they have these two different terms for same stitches. Anywho, let's get on. We want to start with a chain 3, which will count as a double throughout the pattern. So we already know how to chain. You yarn over, put your hook a bit like this so you can easily put it through. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So this counts as your first double. Now we want to find the middle, which is sometimes a little bit hard to see, but that's where it is. That's where your middle is. So now we're going to learn how to do a double crochet, so US terms. For a double crochet, you yarn over first. Then you go through that hole in the middle, yarn over again, and then you have 3 loops on your hook. And it's called a double crochet because you go through your loops twice. So I'll show you how to do that. You yarn over, go through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and go through 2 loops on your hook. And that's your first double crochet made. But remember, this chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so really you've done 2. So we need to do 1 more to make your, well, I'll call it a granny cluster. So let me do that again. Sorry, I was just talking and forgot to go slow. So yarn over, go into that middle space, yarn over, and again you got your 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. God, that's hard to say. Okay, so this is your very first granny cluster. And, oh, do I have my granny squares somewhere so I can show you? That's the one we just made, just the very middle one. And as you can see, there will be a corner there. So to make the corner, we are going to chain 2. So again, yarn over, pull through that loop on your hook, that's 1 chain, yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and there you have 2 chains. So that's your first corner made. Well done. Let's make the second granny cluster. So yarn over, go in that hole, yarn over, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is basically all you need to know, but I'm gonna do a few rounds with you so you can see how it comes together, because now it looks like a bit of nothing, doesn't it? Okay, so yarn over, we're gonna do a double, and you can always slow the video down so you can see exactly what I'm doing, but it would be a bit boring if I keep saying yarn over, pull through. So just go back to the beginning. Let's do another hook. So here we have our second granny cluster. So we need to make another corner. The corner is 2 chains. So 1, 2. And we'll make another granny cluster. So 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3. Let's do another corner, chain 2, and 1, 2, 3. So we need 1 more granny cluster, which consists out of the 3 doubles, 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll do 2 chains for another corner, 1, 2, and then we want to slip stitch into the 3rd loop of that the 3rd chain of that first chain 3 we did, which counts as one of the doubles. So see, this is the double, this is your chain, so you want to go 1, 2, 3. So to chain, you just go through that chain, and see how I have 2 on my loop there, on my hook, I mean. You pull that through that space and through your chain, and that is your very first middle done. Now to fasten off, I usually do one more slip stitch just so it doesn't come undone. Cut it off. There you go. And see how the middle is a little bit holy? Well, with your very first yarn, you can pull that and it will come smaller and smaller. And then in the end, when I'll show you how to put your yarns away, you weave them in with your needle and then it'll become nice and tight and very neat. Now, how do we do the second color? Whatever color you like. All these granny squares, whatever colors you do, I find they're all beautiful. Now, to use your second color, we start the same way again with a slip knot. I showed you in the beginning, so I'm not going to show everything 20 million times. And I like to not start in the same corner, but just in the next one, so it sort of evens out. Otherwise, your granny square might lean towards one side, and that's what we don't want. So I just use the next corner. And if you know how to make a standing double crochet, you can start with that. Otherwise, we'll just go through. Did you see that? I haven't shown you that before. So here's our corner. We have a slip knot on our hook. We just put our hook through that space in the corner, yarn over and pull it through your slip knot so it's secure. Attached. Well done. Let's start again. So now we need 3 chain again to count as our first double, unless you do a standing double. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to know this bit. So we'll do yarn over and a double. So that's your second double, yarn over and a double. So that's another granny square, but if you look at our granny square here, there's actually 2 there because you make another corner. So what we need to do is make that corner now. So what was the corner again? 2 chains. So 1, 2. And then see how it looks a little bit busy there? Just move them to the side a bit so you have a bit more room. And then we do our granny cluster again. So yarn over, double crochet, and you do that 2 more times. Now my yarn was a bit tight. Make sure you have enough yarn to work with, because if it's tight, your stitches will be tighter. We don't want that. Okay. There's our corner. Now I'm not going to do any chain stitches in between our granny clusters on the sides. Some patterns do that, but this is just very easy. Once you get the hang of this granny square, you can do any pattern granny square you like, but let's just keep it simple for this first one. So yarn over and we go into the second corner. And we'll just do 3 again. And when you look at this one, you can see that we've done these 2, then this, so we need to make another corner. Corner is 2 chain stitches, 1, 2, and then make a bit of room again. Oops. With crochet, it's very easy to undo because you only have 1 hook to that you can lose. I've just learned how to do knitting, and God, you can lose a whole row. It's really hard. So 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. And we have our second corner. Let's go to our third corner. So nothing in between, no chains or whatever. You just yarn over again and do your double crochet. And for a granny cluster, we do 3 double crochets. And we need to make another corner. 2 chains and another granny cluster. You will soon get the hang of these double crochets and granny clusters, and I might be going a little bit quick now, but you can always slow the video down. Guess what? We're on our last corner. So we do our 3 doubles for the granny cluster. Now, I don't know if it's officially called a granny cluster, but then you know what I'm talking about when those 3 doubles together. And we have to make 1 more corner, chain 2, and your granny cluster, so 3 double crochets. Now we have a gap, so we have to do our slip stitch again. So our slip stitch, just like the first one, goes in the 3rd chain of that very first chain we made. So 1, 2, 3. This might look like the 3rd one, but that's actually part of that double crochet. So we're going to go in this one, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through that last stitch. And then to fasten off again, you just make another slip stitch and pull it tight a bit so it doesn't come undone. There you go. So now we're going to learn the 3rd one, where you actually get a granny square on the sides. So the bigger you get, the more granny squares you're going to get on the side. So the blue here has 1, the purple has 2. So you can make it as big as you like, but I might just show you all 4 rounds so you get a good understanding of how it goes. So let's get another color. There we go. And as you can see, we only use a tiny little bit of yarn for these, but of course, the bigger it gets, the more yarn you use. But just use whatever you have at home. So start again with a slip knot or with your standing double crochet if you know how to do that. So let's go, not in this corner, but go to the next corner again. The corners start the same, so go through the space in the corner and just attach your yarn. And now we're going to do 3 chains again. 1, 2, 3. So it's pretty repetitive, but that is perfect to learn because practice makes perfect, I find. Just look at my knitting. No, don't. Yarn over, and we'll do our 2 more doubles for our first granny cluster. Then we chain 2 to make the corner and just push this to the side a bit so you have more room, and you do 2 more, 3 more. Do as I do, not as I say. Sometimes I get tongue twisted. Okay, or tongue tied, whatever it's called. Here's our new corner. And now we haven't done this before. We're going to go in between these 2 granny clusters. So let's call that the space in between the granny clusters. So yarn over, go just in that space and make your double. Then we make 3 doubles, and that's your granny cluster. And don't make another one because we only make 2 of them when you're in the corner. So now we go to that corner and make your 3 doubles. Now we have to make a corner, so remember 2 chains. 1, 2. Push that aside a bit. Do another granny cluster. 1, 2, and 3. So there you go. We've done one side and 2 corners. So we're just going to repeat this till we get to the end. I'll do it, but you can just fast forward if you don't want to crochet along with me, or put it slow if you do want to crochet along with me for a bit of company. I'll try not to talk too much. Impossible. 3 double crochets for your granny cluster. So that's your side done. Straight over to the corner. 1, 2, and 3. And because we're in the corner, we need to make another corner. 1, 2 chain. And if you need to, just push it aside a bit. And we'll make 3 DC, 3 double crochet. You'll get used to all the abbreviations that they use in crochet patterns eventually, but in the beginning it's like a completely new language. So we've done our corner, now we need to do our side one. So we go, it's a little bit messy with all these yarns, but I thought I'll leave them till the end so you can see how I put them away. And also, I don't like to weave my yarns in before I know it's all correct, because it's very hard to undo if you already put all your yarns away. Very, very hard. Not that I speak from experience. No, I do. Okay, go through this one. A granny cluster, so 3 doubles. One more corner, so the corner is 3 doubles. And then we have to make the actual corner, which is 2 chains, and then 3 more doubles in this corner. Now once you get the hang of making these granny squares, you can make whatever you like. My first granny square project was a blanket, but you can make bags, you can make vests, you can make cardigans, you can make whatever you fancy. You can even use them as coasters. So I'm doing the last granny cluster in this space. And now we have to attach it again to the 3rd chain. 1, 2, 3. Pull it through, and fasten off with a slip stitch. Gee, we're powering through this video. Let's do one more round so you know exactly what we're doing. And then I'll show you how to weave your ends away so it's nice and tidy. Okay, we're ready for the 4th and final round I'm going to show you. So once again, start with a slip knot. So this is how I do it. But also, if you know how to do a standing double, go ahead and do that. Now we ended here, so I'm going to start in the next corner. Oh, I nearly started with a standing double. How about I'll show you how do you do a standing double, just in case you want to see it. So you have your slip knot, you yarn over, you go through that space, corner space, and you make your double. Done. But sometimes it's hard when you're beginning to hold your yarn like that. So I just go through, make a slip knot, and it's attached. So then it's easier to hold. And you do 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. Then your 2 doubles. So yarn over, in there. Okay. Another corner, so chain 2, 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3. Now we're on the last round, so as you can see now we have these 2 spaces, so we do 2 granny clusters in there, and if you want to go further you'll do 3, and so on and so forth. And the corners are always a cluster of 3 DCs, a chain of 2, and a cluster of 3 DCs, and then no change in between. You just keep going because it looks nice and tight and tidy, I reckon. Anywho, let's keep going. So this is our first space in between the 2 granny clusters. So yarn over and do your 3 doubles. 1, 2, and 3. And then we can do another one. 1, 2, and 3. Back to the corner. So you should be familiar with the corners now. 3 doubles. Chain 2. Ooh. 1, 2, and 3 doubles. 2, 3, and then we're just going to repeat that 1, 2, 3 times. I'll talk you through it, but you don't really need it anymore, I think, but go for it. So in the first space we do 3 DCs as a granny cluster. The next space we do 3 DCs, DC as in double crochet, which is also known as treble crochet in the UK terminology. And we're at that corner. So we do 3 doubles, 2 chains, 3 doubles, now I've forgotten how many I have, but you can easily count it. 1, 2, 3. So yep, that's good. Good to go. Go into the next space and do your 3 doubles to make that granny cluster. Oops. And 1, 2, 3, and we're on our last side, so 1 more corner to make. So once you get the hang of it, it's very quick to make these granny squares, and it's a really good project to take with you in your handbag or in the car, because I always have a book with me. Well, I'm a librarian, and I always have a crochet project on the go, just in case I have to wait somewhere, I have something to do. And these are nice and portable because they're so little, unless you make it. What you can also do, you can make a humongous crochet granny square and use it as a pillow cover, or even a blanket instead of a whole heap of small ones. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 1, 2, 3. 1 more in the space between those 2 granny clusters. 1, 2, and 3. And for the last time, we're going to attach it with a slip stitch in the third 1, 2, 3 chain. Pull it through. Another slip stitch. Cut it off, and we have made our granny square. Now, this is pretty messy, isn't it? So I'll show you how you get rid of all these yarns. If you're making a whole blanket like I showed you in the intro, please don't leave all your yarns till the end because it'll drive you batty. So try and do them as you go, 1 square at a time. So I start from the middle out, because I want this nice and tight. So grab your yarn needle, and with the middle I try to pull it as tight as I can without breaking the yarn, of course, and then I go clockwise, or I don't know how you see it on the video, but for me it's clockwise, and pull it tight, and I put it through about 3 times one way and really tight. So that's 3 times. Then I go anti-clockwise 3 times. Oop. And I pulled that hard that it came out of my needle. So just put it back in. Yep. And I just like to go 1 round of clockwise, 1 round of anti-clockwise, and then just to make sure I do 1 more round of clockwise. You know why I do that? Because you work really hard to make your granny square. You don't want it to come apart because you didn't weave in your yarns securely. And doing this, I've never had any yarns come loose, so works for me. If you don't want to do it, up to you, but that's what I do. So once you've done it securely, so I did it clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, you can then cut it off very close to, and you won't see it. Now if you turn around, that is now nice and tight, no little holes there. Next corner to, oh no, I thought next color to work away, but we still have one of our purples, of course. Now I find it easy to just go through them, and you don't have to, so that's the corner of the next color. Let's do this again. So you can see how not just the middle, but how the others go. So with this one, I just go through these stitches here, one way. Then I go the other way, but I skip this first stitch so it secures itself there. Go this way. So that's the second round. And then I go that way again and skip that first stitch so it's secure. There you go. And then you work away all these in the same way. So this one could go there, this one could go there, this one could go there, this one, they could both go there. I'll show you the last one because that is a little bit different. Okay. Because there's not much to weave it in with, so I just go through some of these to bring it down. Yeah. And then you might as well do both of them if it fits in on your needle. This needle is a little bit little, so I'm not sure. We'll try. Yep. And I just put both of these through here. Might be a little bit thick, and if that bothers you, you can weave it into the next one. So that's one. Go the other way, so skip that one again. Two. And then one more time, skip that one so it's secure. 3 and through, and then you cut these off. And then when you've worked all your yarns away, which I haven't yet, you end up with a lovely little granny square. And if you think this is still too messy, you can what they call block it in crochet land, which means you just wet it and pin it out on a board exactly square, and it'll make it even better. But I find it already looks really, really neat and tidy. So now we've come to the end, so you should have this now. Well done, and share the love.